Okay, we're up to the Mishnah on Samech Gimel on the days. The Mishnah on Samech Gimel on the days. A very, very interesting Gemara this evening. Very, very interesting Gemara. Okay, so we know that a woman can make a shliach l'kabbalah, shliach l'kabbalah get, but Isha Shama hiskabali giti, a woman who says hiskabali giti, accept I get, makes a shliach l'kabbalah. Tzricha shtei kitei edim. You need two groups of edim, two separate groups. Shnayim oimrim b'fanenu amra, right? Two that in front of us, she said that you're a shliach l'kabbalah. In other words, the two that in front they said you made a shliach l'kabbalah. Ushnayim oimrim b'fanenu kibel, in front of us, what he received the get, the kara, and the get was ripped up. Now, don't think they have to be two separate groups of edim. Afilu heina rishonim, v'heina achroinim. It doesn't make a difference. It doesn't. You do not need the same edim. They could. You do not different edim. They could be the same. You can mitzvah from another person. So, for all intents and purposes, you need two edim. One that to say that you were made a shliach l'kabbalah, and the second one that said that that in front of you the get was given and it was ripped. The Gemara was going to ask, why do you have to rip it? Okay, we'll see. Today's Gemara is all about the concept of a shlish, a third party. A third party has money, a third party has a get, the third party has something, and he says differently than the person who entrusted with him. Who's believed? The person who entrusted with him or the third party, the shlish? Sometimes the shlish could be the shliach, sometimes not, sometimes be a third party. So, Itmar. Baal Oimer lepikadin. Now the shliach is holding a get. The shliach is holding a get, and the Baal says, "I never sent you to divorce my wife. I wrote the get that it should be available if I want to divorce my wife, and I entrusted you as a pikadon to watch it. And I entrusted you to watch it. That's what happened. That's what the Baal time is. Ushlish Oimar legerishin, and the shlish says, I was given it legerishin. Now, let's see, according to Rashi and according to Tosfos, they basically say the same thing. Rashi, Baal oimer lepikadin, get shenasan biyad shlish, the gets us in the hand of this third party, Baal oimer lepikadin asativ biyadcha, ushlish oimer legerishin asatili. What does that mean? Shayisi shlucha lekabbalah, I was made a shliach lekabbalah, b'niskarsha b'kabbalah si, and your wife was divorced with my kabbalah, and the man and the woman, they are together in the city. We'll see why they have to be together in the city. We'll see why it has to be together in the city. So let's see Taisvis on the Amid base. Guys, go back to the Amid base. Go back to the Amid base, the bottom Taisvis. Ushlish Oimar legerishin pirish. Sha'oimar sha'aya shliach lekabbalah, like Rashi. He says he was made a shliach lekabbalah. Umayri k'shiyei shnayim shemeidim fanenu Amra, Ishivisa Isha Shliach LeKabbalah. That the Isha made him, we have Edim Kidnam Mastisan. So you have Edim that this person was made a Shliach LeKabbalah. He says he's holding it on. Right now, so he has the get, and his wife's divorced. So the question is she divorced or not? Is she like the Baal? The Baal just entrusted; it was never given. Like him, it was given. Like him, it was given already. So who is believed? Who do you believe here? So Rav Huna says, Baal Ne'eman, the Baal is believed. Rav Huna Amar, Baal Ne'eman, the Baal is believed, and to say that is to be kadden. Rav Chisda Amar, Shlish Ne'eman. Rav Chisda says the Shlish is believed. Rav Huna Amar, Baal Ne'eman, Dim Isa Dilegerishin Yahavin Nehalei, if he was given him Gerishin, Lididah Havi Yavla Nehela. What's his taina, guys? If I wanted to divorce her, good. If I wanted to divorce her, I would have given it to her directly. Now you know why Rashi said they had to be in the same city. In other words, Rashi throws that in because if they weren't in the same city, he wouldn't have this. This is it's a migu, right? In other words, believe me, I gave it to you as a pikadon because I wanted to divorce her. I could have divorced her. That's the way Rashi learns. It's a migu. And the migu can only be if they're in the same city because he has that kayach hataina. That believe me, I gave it to you as a pikadon because I wanted to divorce her. We're in the same city. I would have divorced her. So he has a kayach hataina. That is the svara of, according to Rashi. Again, a very hot sugya. This is the svara according to Rashi. Rav Chisda amar shlish neman. Why? The shlish is believed because the Baal believes him. What does that mean? Rashi, the ha'himnei, kishemasa biyadai, when he gave it over to him. In other words, he entrusted him. He entrusted him so much that no matter what he says, he'll be believed. If you look at Taisvis, the Taisvis, shlish neman ha'himna, go down almost to the end. So you see the Taisvis, Masav Rav Abba, count up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines up. Lekach nira, lefarish. The ha'himnei, what does that mean? Kima shemasa biyadai, since he gave it over to him, al das came masalai. Sheyeh legerishin, that it should be legerishin, im yoima legerishin. Whatever he says, he's going to be believed. Afa pishu mashaker, even if he's lying. In other words, going back on his question, he's playing. You're giving a guy a live grenade. You're giving a guy a live grenade. If he's going to blow you up, he's going to blow you up, right? But you gave him a live grenade. You gave him a get, and since you gave him a get, obviously you trusted him with a live grenade, and therefore, what says Rav Chisda, you believe. So Rav Huna says you believe al smigu. Believe me, I gave you this pikadon because I wanted to divorce. I would have given it directly. And according to Rav Chisda, no, the shlish is believed because obviously if you gave him the get, you must have anticipated the possibility that he could have said that, and therefore you believe him. What do you mean?
Why else would the Baal have given?
That's the pikadon. The pikadon. The watch.
Why?
Why? Again, maybe he wants. Maybe he wants it in a third party's hands for whatever reason. Let's say he doesn't get angry and give it right away. He wants it. He's watching it. He's watching it. Maser Rav Abba. Rav Abba has a kasha. Says Rav Abba, "Haydas baldin k'mei edim dami." The halacha is that apishnai made him yakim dava. Right? If the Baal admits to something, it's like two edim. Ushlish neman mishnehem. And the shlish is believed over both of them. Ketzad. Zeh oimakach. Shimon's holding on to money. Reuven says, I gave you that money as a pikadon. And Shimon says, kach, you gave it to me, right? You gave it to me to pay, right? You gave it to the third party to pay me. In other words, Levi's holding on to this. Reuven has money by Levi. Reuven Tainus, he gave it to money as a pikadon. Shimon Tainus, that you gave it to him to be paid, right? Who do we believe? Shlish Neman. The shlish is believed. The shlish is believed. He's believed. Whatever the shlish says. If the shlish says it's pikadon, it's pikadon. Shlish says it's whatever he says. So the kasher is, how could you, Rav Huna, say the shlish is not believed by Gitin, that you believe the Baal? You see, by money, you believe what? The shlish. Says the Gemara, shiny mammon, this yov lemechile. Mammon's different because you possibly could be Michael. Rashi explains the fact that you can be Michael the money, like Tosfos explained in Rav Chisda that you believed him. I'm giving you money. I know that at any time you could say anything you want about the money because I have. Again, if you want to say I gave it to you as a gift, I gave it to you as a gift. If you want to say I gave it to you as a matana, I entrusted you with this money. I must have believed so much in you that if in fact you're going to go ahead and lie and say that it belongs to Shimon, I'm Michael the money. I'm Michael the money. Right? I'm Michael the money. That's the svara why he's believed. Says Rav Huna, you want to know the difference? Money is different, right? The shiny mammon, this yav lemechila. Money is different because it can be Michael. Masha'en came over here by get. It's not shaykh, that's svara. And by get, the shlish is not believed. So Rav Huna is being machalik. He's differentiating between a shlish by mammon and a shlish by what? By get. By mammon, where he entrusts him totally, that even if he lies, he's going to be Michael. By get, no, by get, we'll say it's not shaykh mechila, and therefore, if he wants to divorce his wife and they're living in the same city, then what? Then he would have done it himself. That's Rav Huna. Read the Gemara about Tanya v'chein legitin. It says the shlish is believed by mammon, and it says v'chein legitin. Mashma, the saying the shlish is believed by Gitin, and the havamina is Gitin means gitei nashim. Says the Gemara, no, gitei mammon. As we began the Masechta, a get, right? It can also be what? It can be a shtar. Read the Gemara, Tanya in another brisa of the Chen L'Shtaros. Says, no, Midi Gabi Hadadi Tanya. Did we learn them together? Guys, if you have one brisa that says the Chen Gitin, the Chen Shtaris, so then get would mean Gitin Hashem. But Shtaris is in a different brisa. So that one's speaking about Mammon and this one's speaking about Mammon. So Rav Huna is held serve. There's a difference between Mammon and get. I believe the shlish by Mammon. I don't believe the shlish by get. Why? Because I wanted to divorce her. I'm going with Rashi. Believe me that what you got us to be sudden. Migu, I could have said, since she's living in the same city, I would have given it to himself. That's the svara of Rav Huna. Okay, that's the svara of Huna. Okay. Tanan, our Mishnah. Ha'isha sh'ama hiskabeli giti. A woman that says, I be makabel my get. Tzricha shtei kitei edim. Shnayim sheyomru b'fanenu amra, u'shnayim sheyomru b'fanenu kibel v'kara. Ve'amai. Why do you need any edim at all? Lehimne shlish. Since according to Rav Chisda, the shlish is believed, right? Right. Why do you need what? Again, since the shlish is believed, right? Why do you need what? Edim. Why do you, guys? You need Edim that is shlich Kabbalah. You need Edim that was the boss. Why do you need any Edim? If the shlish is believed, let the shlish said, you made me a shlich Kabbalah. You made me a shlich Kabbalah. Good. Read the Gemara. And for the Gemara, let's see Rashi, guys. V'amai boy Edim klal. Loi b'Kabbalah, not on the saying that you were appointed as a shlich Kabbalah, but loi ba'amira, and not that what that ba'amira that in front of us you accepted the get. Ella ba'amira b'vad lehimna. She should be believed what with amira alone. The himna baal, right? Because what? Because you believe the baal. So says Rashi, why do you need? Says Rashi, why do you need Adam at all? Not in the Kabbalah, not in the Mira. Ella ba'amira b'vad lehimna. You should go ahead and believe the shlish. The himna baal, because the baal believed him. Loi Rav Chisda, guys. Right, guys. Loi Rav Chisda, right? Loi Rav Chisda, the baal believed him. Good, and therefore what? Therefore he's believed, right? The shlish is believed, right? Says the Gemara. Mi kon nafik gita mitute yada. Rashi. B'fanenu is the get coming out of the hand now. Lar oisay lanu to show the nehimna that what? So it's not a kashan of Chisda, really it's a kashan of Huna. Excuse me, it's a kashan of Huna. Huna says that what? Huna says that the shlish is not believed, right? So it's kashan of Chisda. It's kashan of Chisda, right? What are we saying over here? Chisda believes it. Says that he believed, right? So over here, no, it's a kasha on Rav Chisda, right? If you're believed, why would you need Adam? So now, says Rashi, it's ripped up. Even though we have ripped up get, ain't shlish elam kain shlisha, shlishis biyadai, the migu di boy havi avidbei, maidek amar, nema nami alam mirasai. Okay, guys, avos shakari and biyad l'maisa biyada. Guys, says the svara like this. Says the svara like this. Believe me, Rav Chisda, believe me that what? That I received this in Gerushin. Migu that what? I could have given it to the woman. Migu, believe me, she's divorced. Migu, I could have given it to the woman to divorce her, or I could have been I'm a couple to get. So now, he's believed. When is he believed? When he has the get, when the get exists. When the get exists, he's believed. What happens if he doesn't have a get? He doesn't have a get. So if he doesn't have a get, he's not believed. Good. His whole power is believe me that she's divorced, because Migu, I could go ahead and divorce her right now. Here's the get. What happens if you don't have the get? You don't have the Migu. So Memela, that's the answer over here. Says the Gemara, you're asking a kashan of Chisda, saying, why don't you believe this? You see the shlish is not believed. Says the Gemara, I'll tell you why the shlish is not believed. Is a get available in his hand, the lehimna? Says the Gemara. So you're right. So Teinach Amra. That's very good on the Shliach LeKabbalah. Kibel Lomali, right? Kibel, why do you need Edim on the Kabbalah? L'chayra, he has a ripped get. In other words, a ripped get would be enough to go ahead, right, and and show there was the divorce. To divorce, I need a full get. So I wouldn't have a migo if the get was ripped. On the other hand, what? On the other hand, if I have a ripped get, it's a value that it was given. It's a value that it was given. So I'm Rav Hamani Rebbe Lassi. You know why you need Eidim? Not because you don't believe the shlish, but going back to the beginning of the Masechta, who makes the krisis? Who makes the get? Eidei Chasima, Eidim that are signed, or Eidim Masira, or the Eidim that what are given over. It's Rebbe, we pass like Rav Lazar, Damar Eidim Masira Karti. So in other words, very good. The shlish is believed. The reason over here is he's not believed on the Amira because he doesn't have a get, so he doesn't have his migu. And he's not believed on the Amira, not because he's not believed, because we need AD on the Masira that it took place. Good. Now, this is really a kasha on the Mishnah. Why do you have to rip it up? Yeah, you good? Yeah, why do you have to rip up the get? Like, what's the purpose? Says the Gemara, Amrav Yehuda, Amarav, B'shas HaGezerah Shonu. This was written B'shas HaGezerah, the Shas of the Romans, where they told us we couldn't do mitzvahs, and therefore to go ahead, they wouldn't allow divorce, to keep mitzvahs and like get. So what would they do? They would destroy the get. They would rip up the get. Now, I found it fascinating. I found the Trumas Hadeshin guys who says something really fascinating. You know what they do Bisman Hazeh with a get? If they give it, they rip it up. They rip it up. Because of this, even though the reason for what does not exist anymore, even though the reason doesn't exist anymore, they weren't mevatel the gezerah. And I found the Trumas Hadeshin, and I sent this out to the guys. I'll post it. You should have it. I sent it out to you. Okay.
I thought the reason is that the woman should get back and be able to collect silver. Then is
What?
that something there?
Yeah, but again, that's not the reason they rip it up. No,
They got to show her.
With a name inside it.
again, I think that's a question of the makam. They write a shover, or makam. They don't write a shover. Anyway, look at your phones, guys. Look at the phones. I sent this out. Okay. Okay, this is a Tosfos, guys, in Masechta Rosh Hashanah. Let me tell you what's going on. We learned this. Why do we blow shofar by Musaf? If it's reason makdim lemitzvahs, why don't we blow shofar by Shachris? Right? Right? So look at this Tosfos. The afal pi and what's the reason? You know what the reason is? Because the goyim would go ahead and think the Jews are rebelling. They're getting together to fight. So it says b'shas gezeres malchus shana. V'afal pi shebotla gezeres hamalchus lo yavdinan kidmei kara. Afagad this reason makdim lemitzvahs. The chashin and shem yachsa double kilkuloi. Maybe it's going to go back. So there we go ahead and keep it. Well, the Pirish Hayushalmi nichatfei in mefarish sham shedamoy ha'oivim shenis asfu l'tkaya trua milchemes. Right, the goyim they would get together and they blow a shofar for war. V'amdu aleihem b'hargum. Well, and there they go ahead and kill us. Well, lekach tiknu tekiyas u'brachas b'musaf. Tkichasi dekoru b'kriyas shma. They see that in the morning with the same kriyas shma. U'mispallim b'koyim b'toira. B'choyim u'mispallim adaving again b'toikin. Amri b'ni musayu einon askina. They're busy with their laws. Kloimar b'chukaseyim with rasam and not what. So in other words, we do it according to Yisham in the afternoon because now the goyim know. Again, so it says the Trumas Hadeshin, it's the same thing. Why Bisman Hazeh we rip up the get? It's something that since it was in vogue, right? Because of Gzeres HaMalchus, right? Maybe we're worried that Chazu Double Kakulai, and we still rip up the get Bisman Hazeh. I guess to collect the ksuba, they have a shoiv from Besdin or something to collect the ksuba, right? We know that. I don't think Bisman Hazeh you need to get to say this ksuba. You have you go to court and the Besdin takes care of everything. If they really do give it a get, I guess they would work with the ksuba also, because usually by that time they dealt with the monetary issues, or she wouldn't be getting the get in the first place. But I found it fascinating. Okay, says the Gemara weiter. Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Rabba, Umayda Rav Huna. Rav Huna says the shlish is not believed. The Amra Ihi Lididi Amali Shlish Delegation Yavnele Mihimna. If the woman says that the shlish told her, the woman said the shlish told me that he was given the shem gerushin, Rav Huna would be Maida. So let's get this straight. If the shlish would tell it to Bezdin, he won't be believed. But if the woman would tell it to Bezdin that the shlish told it to her, it'd be believed. Fred the Gemara, Miyikimidi, the shlish gufe lemehimna, the shlish himself is not believed. The iu mehimna, and she would be believed to say what the shlish said. Makes no sense. Ella I amra kamoi didi legerishin yavnele. She's not saying what the shlish told her. She's repeating what she saw. If she says she saw the husband given to the shlish as the what for gerushin, then mehimna. Why? Migu di boy amra lidida yavnele. Bow. Okay. Migu, believe her. Listen, guys, this is going to be problematic. Believe her that she saw the Baal give it to the Shlish Pikadin. Migu, she could have said that what if he would have wanted to divorce me, he would have given it to me. Notice Migu that she gave it to me. Believe me, he gave it to the Shlish. Migu, she could have said he gave it to me. Now the problem is if he gave it to you, why does the Shlish have it and not you? Guys, you hear the problem. Guys, outside. Guys, look at me. Guys, look at me. Says Rabbi Chiddush, the shlish is not believed. But if the woman said, I saw my husband give it to the shlish for gerushin, you're believed. Why is she believed? She has a migu. Believe me, it was given to him, l'shem gerushin, because I could have said he gave it to me. I could have said he gave it to me. Now, how could she, I'm asking Kasha, how could she say you gave it to me if the shlish is holding it? He's not holding it, right? He's not holding it. So there's a few drachim over here how to answer this. Okay, one derech is, it's the Rif who says that you didn't make a shliach l'Kabbalah. This is a raya that it was shliach l'Ilacha, right? That it was that the get was in the right, and the shlish is time. The get is in the woman's hands now. In other words, he said, "I gave it to you as a pikad," and you know she has it now because the shlish gave it to her. So believe me, it was given to him as what? As pikadin, as a gerushin, right? Migu, I could have said it was given to me, and she's holding on to it. That's according to the Rif that was made a shliach l'Ilacha. But other Rishonim, the Rambam, the Ritva, the Ran, Rashi, they all hold that it was a shliach l'Kabbalah. But the get is in the hands of the shlish. So where's the migu over here? Migu, she could have said that he took it me on the way to Bezdin, right? She could have. She could have taken the get, the drachim on the way lebezdin, l'tayin shekiblu mi baila. She could have gone ahead and said, you know what? On the way to Bezdin, I could have taken it from him. In other words, even though the shlish is holding on to the shtar, she has a mitzias of saying, I could have gotten it. On the way to Bezdin, I could have said, give it to me, and I could have held on to it. I didn't say that. Migud, I didn't say that. Believe me, that word was given to him, Legerishin. Baalam Legerishin, Shusham Legerishin. Good, it's Gavaldik. So the Baal says, I made you a shliach lahilacha. Everyone, I made you a shliach lahilacha. The shliach says, I made a shliach and I gave it to her. The he oimeres, and she says, Nasan liva avad. So guys, hear this? Everyone says that this is screaming out divorce. Guys, listen to this. The woman says, the husband says, I gave it to the shliach as a shliach le'ilacha for divorce. The shliach says, I did my job. She did my job. The woman says, I received it, and I what? And I lost it, and there's no Aiden. Is she divorced or not? Obviously not too easy. Right? Isn't it amazing? What?
People saying she got it.
Amr of Yochanan have a davar shebe erva. She's a cheska seishesish. The ain't davar shebe erva pachas mishnayim. We learn that la la mei right la la. That's it. Davar al pishnayim made miyaka davar right. Kimatz ervas davar davar. V'mayla himna l'shlish. Read the Gemara kasha. Believe the shlish. Believe the shlish. Right. Believe the shlish. Good. The Gemara, Mikon Nafik Gitin Mitute Yade del Himna, right? Again, why do you believe the shlish? Migu, he said, what? I could have given to her. He doesn't have to get. It's lost. So he doesn't have power. Fred Gemara, Lahamni Labal, believe the Baal. The Amar Rav, Pia Barov, and Amar B'Yochanan, and Baal Shama Gerashti Sishti. If a Baal says, I divorced my wife, Ne'eman, good, so let's believe him. And for the Gemara, Mi Kama Gerashti, he didn't say, he also has a Migoy. Believe me, when he says Gerashti, I divorced her, believe me, I divorced her, Migoy, I could have said, I could do it now, right? But now that's not what he said. He said, I gave it to the Shlish as a Pikadon, as a Gerushin. So no, we do believe you. We don't question you. We don't have Adim to the get, but we don't question you. You gave it to him. They're very good. So let's say we have a chazaka, a shliach does a shlichusai. So even though there's no Adim, let's say the shliach went ahead and what gave it to her, because we have a chazaka that shliach does a shlichus. The Amr of Yitzchak, someone says to a shliach, say v'kadeshli isha stam. Go be mekadesh me a woman. He doesn't say who. Mumes shluchai, and the shliach dies. Asa b'chol ha'nashim sheba olam. He's asa in all the women in the world. Chazaka shliach shlichusai. So why is he? Who's he asa to, guys? Who's he asa to? What are we worried about? We want to marry a relative, right? We might be marrying a relative. So, guys, why isn't everybody asa on every woman? Maybe it's an Eshes Ish. There's a woman out there that's an Eshes Ish. We don't know who she is, right? We don't know who she is. How are you able to marry any woman? L'chayra, she might be an Eshes Ish, and the answer is she'll tell you. She knows. You're always worrying about the relative who doesn't know, right? But regarding the other people in the world, she's not a relative. Only regarding what? This guy who she's mukudeshes to. Okay, anyway. Says the Gemara. So we have a kasha. Shliach shlichusai. So why isn't the shlish believe? Again, what is our case? The Baal says Gerishin. The shlish says Gerishin. The woman said, I received it and lost it. Says the Gemara, Ein davish haberach Rabbi Yochanan, Ein davish haberach pachs b'shnayim. She is not divorced. Says the Gemara, believe the Baal, believe the shlish. He has no migo. There's no get. Believe the Baal. Says the right. Let's believe the Baal. We do believe the Baal, but the Baal didn't say Gerash Tani. I divorced her. He didn't say I divorced her. He said I gave it over to Shem Gerishin. Okay, let's believe that the shliach did his job, that the shlish did his job with the chazaka of shlichos shluchusai. On that, the Gemara answers Hani Mili Amid Beis lechumra. We machmir by like we did like Rabbi Yitzchak that the man can't get married. They almost say shlichos shluchusai. Aval a kula, but over here that a kula should come out that this woman is divorced. We won't say shlichos shluchusai. Right, the Gemara. Okay, this. So we don't believe the Baal. We don't believe the shliach. What about her? What about her? Says the Gemara, "V'lahamni l'dida, midav hamnuna, damar hamnuna, isha shama l'bayla gerishtani." A woman says to her husband, "You divorced me." And man, she's believed. Chazaka enisha meiza panel b'fnei bayla. So over here, if we have a chazaka that a woman would not be meiz panav, so Mamela, she's saying that what she's divorced. So believe. And for the Gemara, hanimili hechdoleka de kamasayale. A woman won't have chutzpah only when there are people helping her. Aval heicha de masayale, when there are people who are helping her, meiza. She has her help over here. She has the shlish saying this, the Baal saying this. The Baal saying gave it Gerishim, but didn't say I divorced her. In other words, if she wasn't divorced, whatever his tainer is, he said I gave it to the Gerishim. He's not going to have a chutzpah to go ahead and say, you know.
Earlier, like, so if he dies during this whole thing, it's Chalitza or Yibum?
If who would die?
The Baal, you know.
In this case over here?
Yeah, he would die. We go,
No,
okay,
no. I think Yibum. Again, Ein Davasheva Pakas Mishnayim. There's not a suffix. There's not a suffix in the get.
Because we learned earlier.
That was a suffix. That was a because we didn't know Halach because we didn't know Halach Kisti or not. We don't know what the status was. Over here, Lachara's status, we know what status. She's an Eshes Ish. We're keeping on a chazaka of Eshes Ish. That's what I would say.
If there's a chazaka that a shliach did a shlichus, why does the Gemara say that the shliach has to be able to return to the Baal to tell him he did it?
That's a din of shlichus. That's a din of shlichus. In other words, even if he doesn't do it, Avi, it still has. In other words, he doesn't have to do it. You just have to have the ability to do it. In other words, you have a chazaki, he did a shlichus even if he didn't report back, correct? But initially, he has to be able to report back, or else he's not a shlich in the first place, right? You're out of the ballpark. You understand? Mech, you know to unmute yourself, Mechel. There's a button there that says unmute. I want you to tell the story that Bobby said. Listen to this. This is wild. You see the mute there on the side?
Yes.
Talk loud. Talk loud.
Okay. My grandmother, our grandmother, came here in 1912. She was 14 years old. Anyway, she had told me, later on that when she left, that the women in the town, in the city where she lived, and many had husbands that were either overseas or they worked in Switzerland, they would not accept mail from out of the country. They would have somebody else take it because several people, the men, would send a get from America, and if the woman accepted the mail, she would be divorced. So they specifically did not accept the mail and had somebody else open it first, that they shouldn't inadvertently be divorced.
Wow.
I'm wondering if that's considered in the Sina. You know what? You need a get in order. I'm wondering if there was an amaratzis there. In order for a get, I question Bobby saying it or people did it, but there's a halacha that you need the man to give it. If you put it on the ground and the woman picks it up, she's not divorced. So mail also, I can't see mail be considered, she'd have to have someone give it to her, but it's interesting, the concept of it, the concept conceptually.
He said her to be in a good though.
What?
He said her to be in a
No. Well, oh yeah. Enochanami.
Her mailbox is her chutzner. Her mailbox is like her chutzner.
No, but who's giving it to her? The mailman wasn't made a shliach. You think the mailman was made a shliach? Maybe, I don't know. It's very interesting. I found it fascinating. First of all, my brother doesn't forget anything. He remembers something that, trust me, it must have told him a lifetime ago. And anyway, just find it fascinating how in Europe, the kind of life that you go away a few days from your wife's in the country, you're in the city for 3-4 days. Oh yeah. They were gone for unbelievable. They were gone for months and months and months, even years at a time. It's amazing that a different world it was. Very, very geschmack. Okay, we're up to the Mishnah. Nair Murasa. Now we know a Nair Murasa is a girl. She's between 12 and a day and 12 and 6 months. Before 12 and a day, she's called a katana. After 12 and 6 months, she's called a baigeres. Between that period, she's a naira. We had a whole parak in Nair Murasa in the Darim, not an easy parak. And we have the concept, she's still in her father's rishus, and she's a shtickle in her husband's rishus, because they are married for all intents and purposes. She's an Eish Ish, they're just not living together. She's a naira who accepted Erisin, Kedushin. Nair Murasa, Hiva Avia Mekablan Eskita, either he, she, or her father can Mekabel a get. She has a din of a gedoyla regarding receiving a get, and certainly the father does, and therefore what? Either one can receive a get. Yehuda ain't shtei yadayim zoiches ka'achas. Two hands cannot be zoich at the same time. El avia makabel eskita. The father who had the capacity to go ahead and receive a get as the katana continues to be able to receive the get until she's out of the house. V'chol she'eni yachal lishma eskita. Separate halacha. Anyone who's not able to watch her get, any yachal iskarish is not able to get divorced. In other words, it says v'shilchem beisay v'holchem v'isay l'shacher. If she's a katana and you're going to give her a get and she's going to come back, that's not v'shilchem beisay. That's not sending her out of the house, and therefore what? It would not be. You can't divorce her. Now, what's the machloikis between the Rabbanan who say both can accept and Rabbi Yehuda says only the father? But Michael Bifli, Rabbanan Savri Yoda Yisera Zachile Rachmana, that the Torah go ahead and gave her an extra yad. Rabbi Yehuda Savri v'makam avia yad dila lav klambu. She has a yad, but that's only when the father's not around. The makam is the father; she doesn't have a yad. And the final din of the Mishnah: anyone is not able to watch the get. Now, at which point in time is someone considered to watch a get? So this is a very, very famous Gemara. Kitana hayudas lishma eskita a katana who knows how to watch her get, miskareshes, can be divorced, who she'eno yedas lishmez gita, and one who does not know how to watch her get, ain't miskareshes. You can't divorce her. Again, as the pasuk says, v'shulchan mibeisa, and you have to. Ve'ezehi katana yedas lishmez gita. What is the test? What's the proba to go ahead that a katana could watch a get? Kol shemishameres gita v'davar acher. She can watch a get and something else, which is kind of a cryptic line. What does it mean she can watch a get and something else? My Omar, what exactly does it mean she can watch a get and something else? Anyone who could watch something else as a result of her get. Says Rashi, Shem of the Gita, if she lose the get, Mishameres davar acher, she could watch something else. She'ena doimaloi, that's not similar to the get. The Savrua she Gita. So in other words, she loses a get and she could watch a monkey. She loses a get and she could watch something else. Read the Gemara, Maskal Rav Huna, Bar Menoyach, Hashaita ba'almihi. She watches something else that's not that she thinks is a get and is not a get. That's a problem that she has the das to be divorced. She's a shaita. She's watching a monkey and what? And she had instead of a get. The Ella Rav Huna Bar Menoyach Mishmeid Rav Acha Bered Rav Ika Kol Shem Mavchenes Ben Gitol Davar Acha. Anyone who can discern the difference between a get and something else, that's someone who's capable of watching a get. So that's what it means. Rav Yudah Ravasi Surar Vizarku. You know what? You know who's capable of watching a get? If you throw a rock, they'll throw it away. Egos, you throw a nut, the night light, it's like a candy, they'll take it. If that person could do that, Surar Vizarku, Egos, the night light Zaychel Atzmai has the capacity to be Zaychel for themselves, but they can't go ahead and be Zaychel for something else. So if you have a young child and the child knows the difference between a rock and a candy, that child can be Zaychel for himself. The child, however, cannot be Zaychel for somebody else. If someone would give him something, you don't say Zochem la'adam shaloi b'fanav. They don't have the capacity for schiyah for somebody else. They would have capacity for schiyah for themselves. That's the statement of Rabbi Yehuda Nim Ravasi. Chayfetz umachzir la'acher shah. You give them a chayfetz to watch, and they can return it after an hour. Zaycha, then they can be zaycha. They're capable of being zaycha for themselves and for somebody else. That's a higher level of juvenile functioning. It says when he said this over in front of Shmuel, the distinction between what throwing a rock and a candy or rock candy and being able to return a chayfetz. He said Davida Achasi. It's both the same. In other words, what means both the same? My Davida Achasi. Amrav Chisda. So according to Shmuel, cotton can only be zeicha for himself, cannot be zeicha for somebody else. He can be zeicha for himself, can't be zeicha for somebody else. Okay, outside guys, a little going back in time to Masechta Eruvin. Okay, Mido Raisa, the only time you can't carry is from Rishus Arabim to Rishus Hayachid, back and forth. First Mishnah, Masechta Shabbos, on the outside, this side, back and forth. We know in Eruvin, Shlomo HaMelech had made a takana that what you can't go ahead and carry from a chutzner, a house to a chutzner, because you may come to carry from Rishus Harabim to Rishus Yachid. So in ancient days, you had a house, you had a chutzner, you had multiple chutznerim, and they went into a mavoi. They went into an alleyway, and the alleyway exited into Rishus Harabim. In order for them to carry from the chutzner to the mavoi, they need what's called shitufim mavois. In other words, what an Erev Chatzeros is from the house to the Chatzar, Shitufei Muvois, the partnership in the Mavi. So what would they do? They'd go ahead, they'd take one Chatzar, put something in there, and in the Chatzar, you'd be Zaycha for everybody, and then you can be considered one Chatzar going to the Mavi. Okay, with that in mind. Hates the Mishtafim the Mavi, how do you make Shituf Muvois? Meniach es a chavius, you leave a barrel of wine. V'omar, Harizul l'chol b'nei ha-Mavi. This is for everyone for the Mavi. U'mezakal em al yedei b'noi, u'bite ha-gedolim. You can go ahead and have your older son, older daughter be Mizaka, like they Avdoi, Ushivchasoi Ha'ivrim. And you can be Zaychawat through a Jewish slave and a female Jewish slave, a Shifcha. Now, guys, Hai Shifcha Hechidami. This Shifcha who can be Zaycha for you, who is she? Ida Asa Shtei Sarais. If she brought two Sarais, 2 hairs, my boy is Gabe. What's she doing to you? We know that if a shifcha brings 2 hairs, she's free. She's a naira. She goes out. So she can't. It can't be speaking about a naira that age. Ella lav the layasi shtei sharos. She didn't bring shtei sharos, meaning she's a katana. And nonetheless, the katana is zoicha la'acherim. Mamash alum de shakasha, guys. You want to know? You Shmuel want to say that you can't be zoicha a cotton or a katana cannot be zoicha for anybody, only for themselves. L'chayru, you see a Mefurish Mishnah in Shituvi my voice that a katana could be zoicha, right? For what? For the boss. Says no, shiny Shituvi my voice the Rabbanon. So when the Shmuel say is then that's only by deraisa, by the Rabbanon, right? Then you can be zoicha for acherim. Rav Chisda ishtik Radoyin. Rav Chisda said Radoyin, who accepted this answer, should have asked another kasha. My Havilolamein, what should they be asked him? You want to say by the Rabbanon, you could be zoicha for somebody else? Called the Tikkun Rabbanon came the Raisa Tikkun. So in other words, the Rabbanon are going to mirror the Raisa Tikkun. So if the Raisa Tikkun, you can't go ahead and be Mizakal Acherim, the Rabbanon, you also will be Mizakal Acherim. But obviously, what? If you could be Mizakal Acherim, it must be what? The Raisa, you could. Idach and the Vardoyin, the person and Rav Chanina, why didn't he say that? Called the Tikkun Rabbanon came the Raisa Tikkun. When's that? The milsa the isla ikim in a Torah. That when something has an ikim in a Torah, have a milsa the lesser la ikim in a Torah loy. But something that doesn't have an ikim in a Torah, like Shituvim voice does not have an ikim in a Torah, then what? Then we don't say called the Tikkun Rabbanon came the Raisa Tikkun, and you can even be makel to be Zoika al Yedei Acherim.